You're watching EVH and Gear TV, brought to you by Design39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for EVH and Gear TV are provided by Rode Microphones, and official Van Halen merchandise is provided by VanHalenStore.com. And now, here's your host from Ontario, Canada, EVH artist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, happy Friday to you. It's a weekend, finally the weekend, and happy Canada Day weekend to my fellow Canadians up here. It's a long weekend. It's great. It's fantastic. It's hotter than Hades in here, but we're looking forward to having a great discussion with guitarist Bill Lonero. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Awesome,
Very
man.
excited to be here, actually.
Oh, fantastic. Really happy to have you. This is something we've wanted to do for quite some time. And there's going to be a lot of discussion this evening, and we're going to get into some great Wolfgang discussion as you get to kind of see some little teasers poking out from behind you there.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic. I got a couple nice treats of a story that Bill's going to share with you later on in the program on one of the particular Wolfgangs. But before we jump right into the program, let's say hi to a few of the people that are over in the chat. So thank you, everyone, for jumping in and joining us on this Friday evening. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Relic is here. My beautiful nocturnal butterfly is here running the chat very efficiently as always. Gary Davlin is here saying good evening from Oregon. Sean Cook is here saying sup. And Carlo Santin, speaking of my Canadian counterpart, happy Friday, my friends. Everyone staying cool. Somewhat. And Nocturnal Butterfly says it's hotter than a $2 pistol. So says she when she's up in the air conditioning right now, and I'm in the I'm in the oven right now. So we'll jump over to the chat many times throughout the evening. But Bill, for some of the people that are just tuning in for the first time, or maybe that don't know you, some of our regulars will for sure. Share with us maybe just a little bit of a background biography on yourself a little bit, and kind of let people get to know you a little bit more.
Guitar player as long as I can remember. Basically started when I first heard Angus Young. Actually, that was my hero, my god on guitar. And then Eddie, of course, like every other kid who picked up the guitar. And then I graduated to Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and guys like that. And then basically kept playing my whole life and started this band 2000. I put out my first album, solo album in 2004, and then we didn't put out a band album until 2008. And then so it's been a band thing ever since. It's always been about the band, everybody contributing as much as possible, as much as they want to, basically.
I like that. Oh, fantastic. So obviously Eddie fits into the wheelhouse, which we'll get into later on throughout the evening as well, too. That's nice, because I knew there would be some, obviously, playing the Wolfgangs, but there are a lot of players that do play Wolfgangs that don't really sit there and listen to Van Halen. They happen to like the guitar. So that's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how you can play guitar, and I mean, especially if you play rock or you play, any type of metal guitar, you're influenced by Eddie at some point.
That's right.
I mean, your influences were influenced by Eddie, and Eddie was influenced by other people, so you can't live in a bubble and say, well, I only listen to this thing and I'm not influenced by, you're influenced by their influences.
I agree 100%. Yeah, that's totally true. Before we get into more of the music discussion, obviously we're going to be talking guitars all night long, talking about Van Halen, talking about your band, talking about all kinds of great stuff. You also share a similar passion to myself as well, too, into photography, and you run your own business, Blink Creative. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What inspired you to get into that?
Well, so this studio here, I opened, we moved into it in 2008, and, another friend of mine is a really, really good photographer, and so we had this idea to split this studio in half and make the front part behind the camera there the photography area. And then this part here was going to, in the upstairs and everything else was going to be the music area. But we quickly outgrew this, and it became the full music studio. And then we waited 7 years for the studio behind me, the warehouse behind me, to open up and become available. And then me and another guy, Eddie Waters, he basically said, hey, do you need a partner in this? And I said, that would be great. And he's a really, really super great guy. And, so we started Blink Creative Agency. And then the photographer, Paul, he came on as the manager, and, he's just got a great eye. And so studio's been busy a lot, and it's been really, really good. It's all word of mouth pretty much.
Nice. Now, what type of work do you find yourself specializing in, or at least doing the most?
Well, for me, I just like to do landscape photography for myself.
Okay.
But we rent that studio out to other photographers to come on in and use the studio. Now, I did get hired by John Petrucci's guitar camp, and I went out there and I shot that camp last year with, John and Mangini and, Tony McAlpine, who I've, really good history with, and these other guys that were there. And it was really fun. I was out there for a week, and I was the photographer for the camp, and it was, but it kind of killed me because I was like, man, I want to play guitar while I'm here.
I can imagine.
I just had the camera, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had a blast.
That's at the mansion, right? Out in New York?
Yes.
There?
Yes.
What's it called again?
Glen Cove Mansion.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Rusty
Cooley was there too, right?
Yeah, Rusty Cooley, Tosin Abasi, Jason Richardson, Andy, I always want to say Andy Weeks, but it's not Andy Weeks. I always forget his last name. Acoustic guitar player is phenomenal. Dave LaRue was there. It was just a lot of great players. A lot of great players.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I know Rusty was on the show, and I think he'd either just come back or was just going. And obviously, there's another one going. When is it? Like, it's coming up in the fall? Is that when it is again?
August.
Yeah, okay, so August.
Yeah. Or be there in August. Yeah.
Right, man. You'd be surrounded by talent there for sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to this one. I wasn't invited back, and so I know why. But that's a whole other thing. But I had a good time when I was there, so that's fine with me.
You only live once, right?
That's right, absolutely.
Yeah, you always do these things. You can ask for forgiveness later, but just get in and do your thing and have fun.
Well, like my guitar say, no regrets, no excuses. So,
yes.
That's it.
I agree with that 100%. That's the kind of I've changed my life set 1,000% in the past couple of years. We had some sickness in the family here, and it makes you appreciate life and just live it like on maximum speed. You know what I mean? Don't worry about tomorrow. Just live for today kind of thing. And tomorrow.
Yeah. And take every opportunity that comes your way,
That's right.
I mean, a lot of people want to, oh, I can't do that because I got to do this and I got work or I've got the family. And the opportunities passed them by, and next thing you know, they're regretting a lot of what they didn't do.
That's right.
I think most people regret more of what they didn't do than what they actually did do.
I know. You get a buddy that might call you and say, hey, I can you come and jam with me this weekend? And my other guitar player just can't make it, whatever. Just come and jam. And you might say, it doesn't sound like me, for me, whatever. And then you find out, Celebrity X shows up and gets up on stage and jams with the band. You never know what you're going to miss by saying no sometimes.
That's right. Absolutely.
I know it's not always possible to say yes. I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms. So you could be one of those guys or girls that will say yes to everything and overcommit yourself. And then that's another dance you don't want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Then you end up like Jim Carrey and, Yes Man.
Yeah. Yeah,
which worked out for him, by the way, but I think that was mainly because the script said it was going to.
That's right. Yeah, our scripts haven't been written in life. I mean, we get to kind of wake up next day with a blank canvas and hopefully have some fun. Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome. Well, you definitely have I don't want to use the word creative because that's a pun on play on words with Blink Creative, but you definitely have a creative environment there, and plus with your studio next door, it is really nice where you can actually get in somewhere and not have to set up stuff all the time. Because now when inspiration hits you, you just hop in here and jam and not have to worry about getting the gear set up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we've been here, like I said, 8 years now, and we've got a control room and we've got a loft upstairs and a front room here and the main rehearsal room, and we're right next to the San Jose Airport, so nobody can complain that we're making too much noise because we have big jets flying by all the time.
Oh, that's cool. I was watching some of your YouTube videos on your channel, and by the way, Nocturnal Butterfly posted your link in the chat. Plus, I have it down below too, so people can subscribe to your channel. But I didn't notice the staircase that's to your left, to camera right. So I see the amplifiers there, but when you're playing on the floor, you don't see that staircase. So I just saw this tower of amplifiers. It looks so cool from the floor, Yeah.
So my guitar player James, he's coming through the Marshalls over there. So his rig is set up stage right, and I'm coming. So I don't like my sound coming directly at me. I've just never been a fan of that. So I don't like using monitors on stage.
Sure.
I don't like the black sound. So I actually have my sound coming through the Stone Age, which is over there tucked away in the corner, And then when I'm over here, the stairs kind of block the high end. And I never wear earplugs when I'm rehearsing, and we usually rehearse pretty loud, so it kind of helps to tamper that a little bit.
Perfect. I recognize that looks like a triple X on the top, correct?
Yeah, triple X up there.
Mason X?
Yeah, triple X, a Mesa, and behind the Lonero sign is a Wizard.
Okay, yeah.
The Wizard was actually built and wired by Angus Young's tech to Angus's specs.
Okay.
So that was given to me by a friend of mine, and it's probably the best sounding amp that I have in here. If you want an true AC/DC rock sound, you can't beat that. And then below it is a Blankenship shell, but it's actually a Friedman amp inside the shell.
Okay, gotcha.
And then just an angle cab, and then I'm running a diesel Hagen head as a power amp, but I'm the Axifex Ultra is what I'm using as the processor.
Okay. Now, are those on the angle? Is that 212s or 210s I'm looking at there?
212s.
Okay, it just looks a little smaller from the distance, obviously.
Yes, 212s back there. And then upstairs I have a 410 Marshall, 410 Dr. Z, a 210 Marshall, and a couple of 212 Mills and a Gallion Kruger and something else. Okay.
So nice rigs.
Yeah, it's, they're pretty much set up to where I can just, plug in, to go from head to head or something like that. But using the Axifex, I don't generally have to.
True.
It's got everything I need right now.
We'll get into discussing one of your famous buddies here in a little bit. But did you ever play through the JSX?
I haven't. No, I have not. Never played. But I did play through his Marshall, his signature Marshall.
Okay.
Yeah, that he loaned me that for a month, and it was incredible. I mean, it was just that sound. It was just Joe sound, and it was fantastic.
I had the JSX for a while, and if I was to do this again, I had the 212 100-watt combo, and I would much rather go back and buy the head, because what was happening was I was going through tubes like crazy on that thing, and I took it to I didn't actually take it to my friend at the Guitar Tech, but I talked to him about it. I said, why am I going through tubes like this? He says, if I can give you one piece of advice, if you're going to be running amplifiers this loud and using them as loud as you do on stage, go with the head version. Because, if you think about it, you got a cabinet like that, the tubes are 2 inches away from the speakers.
It's rattling. Absolutely. Yeah.
But it was a beautiful amp. I mean, 3-channel, obviously, like the Triple X. And it was just slightly, it's very much like his Marshall. It was a very, very nice tone.
And it has a compressor built into each channel, right?
Yeah. And noise gate, which was really nice. Built-in noise gate, so you didn't have to use a pedal. And it was a very nice noise gate, too, or it wasn't just like, like in increments. It was like from 0 to 10, you could really hone it into where you wanted to.
Well, he's meticulous about every aspect of his gear. And it's down to the guitar pick, down, the amp, the head, the strings, everything, It shows,
I know.
I'm not that particular, but,
I know, as long as you can plug in and have that comfort zone sound that you're kind of used to from the day before, then you're off to a good start, I think.
Exactly. That's why, I like the Axifex, because when I plug it in, it sounds exactly like it did the day before, the week before, the month before.
Yep. And the only thing that changes from day to day is your attitude. If you're in a really good mood one day, or maybe not as much the next day, but at least there's going to be consistency. And that's one of the things I do like about modeling, whether it's Axifex, and in my case I use Helix and there's Kempers and everybody out there using their different flavors. But you could potentially grab a couple of your Wolfgangs and some gig bags, fly somewhere, and have a backline rented of Axifex or whatever, and plug in and put in your patches, and you're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the beauty of it. Tony McAlpine has the Hughes and Kettner Switchblade, I think it is, and he just has a USB stick, and he just takes the USB stick with him, and wherever he goes, he has the sounds on there.
Isn't that something? I didn't know much about that feature. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. Yeah.
Fantastic. So it's a USB jack right on the head.
Yeah, right built into it.
Oh, man, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they did a good job with that one.
I like that. Let's jump back to the chat for a quick second. Sean Cook is here. FNF Gamers is here saying, hey, Eric, happy to be here. Nice to have you. Nocturnal Butterfly posted your YouTube link, as I mentioned. Thomas Santiago is here saying, hello, Eric and Bill and everyone in the chat. Carlo Santin says photography and guitar, and Carlos a photographer as well too. He says
awesome.
Bill is my kind of guy, really expensive hobby, so and that's true, isn't it?
Thank you. Yeah.
Let's digress a little bit to photography just for a second. We won't bore the people that aren't photographers with photography gear, but talk about some of the things that you found to be the most expensive when it comes to your photography. Well, first of all, hobby to start, and then profession eventually. Where did you spend the most money?
Driving around, looking for something cool to shoot. I mean, it's really, because it's like, when you live someplace, right, you end up shooting the same thing over and over and over and over again. James, my other guitar player, is a fantastic photographer, takes some really, really just gorgeous photos. I mean, really, really gorgeous photos. And I don't know how he does it, but he somehow tends to make the same place that he shot before look different the second time around, and that I think that's really cool. I mean, I live close enough to San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge and, the ocean and things like that to take photos, but after a while I get bored with that. And, so for me, I mean, it's when I go, if I go, like I'd rather go with some friends and, go Paul or James and go do some photography and do that and drive up to Lake Tahoe and spend the day and things like that. Just kind of get away. But, for me, I love the art of photography. I love what you can do with it after the fact. I've always loved rock photography. When I was a kid, Niels Lozauer was my hero. Even though I didn't even own a camera. I always picked out his photos from the magazine and threw them up on the wall. So there's an art to it for sure. And there's some people that just make it look stunning. And there's some people who have the credibility, but they don't actually make it look that great. There's nothing that special about them, but they got the name power. Yeah. So, I think, but, it's just like music, right? It's in the eye of the beholder, So some people can take a picture of this floor here and other people will love it and say that's art, but somebody else will say it's just a floor.
That's right.
So it just depends, it just depends. But for me, I like to just go out with friends and just go do some photography and, kind of have some fun with it.
I like that.
Uh-oh.
There
we go. There we go. Lost connection there for a second.
I like how you mentioned your buddy, how he can take the same picture, the same location, and look different every time. Yeah. Whereas there's some people in the world, they could go to every corner of the globe and take pictures, but they all look the same no matter where you are. Right. Yeah, so exactly. There's
absolutely
catch-22, right?
For sure.
What I started to do, and I started I build websites for a living, along with photography and video as well too. And I subscribe to a lot of stock photography website. If I need like a static shot of like a medical profession or something, I'll buy these photos to use for whatever. But I started thinking, like when I'm not shooting for clients, a lot of times if I'm going to see a client somewhere or whatever, I'll bring one of the camera rigs with me, and I've started to just capture stock photo. If I need some construction, a construction scene, there's guys who are working on the road. Snap, I own that photo now, and I don't have to pay somebody to use it. So I started collecting my own, or kind of making my own stock photo archive, which has been a blessing too.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to do it. Especially if you're going to be doing a lot of that stuff. You can save yourself a lot of money.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
It's with you anyways. And I've been trying to do videos on the road as well too. Trying to multitask. So if you're going to see somebody, just pop the GoPro on. You can film a video while you're en route. And there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Let me see. Who did I miss over in the chat? Left off at Sean Cook. Carlo Santin talked about photography. Quentin James is here. He says, "Hey y'all."
Hey, James.
Yeah, he's a big guitar fan. He's going to have some fun with the discussion tonight for sure. And Relic, I think this might be Relic's first time over here to my show, saying this is great. Blimpus is here saying woohoo. And let me see, who else have I missed? I can scroll down to the bottom. I'm always late in the chat. Scott Roos is here saying, hey, Eric, Nocturnal Butterfly, and Bill. And Terry's GG&G is here saying, maybe tomorrow I'm going to settle down. Until tomorrow, just keep moving on. There you go. And Blimpus says, Bill, the art piece behind you is sick. Can you share a little bit of story on that?
Oh, yeah. That one up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys can actually see that.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was our stage banner for a while, and I think we've had that since 2008. And it basically was supposed to represent the four people in the band. I'm not going to say that that's me behind it because my old drummer did this. So I say I'm the guy in the front maybe, and he's the guy in the back. I don't know, but it came out really cool, and it's much bigger when it's down here, and you're trying to set it up on stage. It's like 8 feet tall by I think 12 feet wide or something like that. But it had to be made in 3 panels, printed out in 3 panels.
Oh wow!
It was so big. Yeah. So we retired it after a while because it just became too much to bring out, to every show all the time.
And possibly get it destroyed too. It's so cool that you almost don't want to destroy it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does very well sitting up there on the wall.
Yeah, it's cool. It's safe. I remember I was always the guy too that we had before my band retired. We had a massive vinyl banner as well too, and you had to roll them a certain way so the vinyl would never peel off.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, these guys, they'd want to be getting out of there and getting home as fast as they possibly could, and they just take the banner, they'd almost fold it. I'm like, don't touch it, leave it to me. And I'm like the guy wrapping the cables, rolling the banners. I'm the last one getting home, but it was worth it. Your stuff was protected.
digitally printed, so it's not silk screen, so it actually won't peel off.
That's good.
Which is nice. Yeah, which is really nice.
That's good. Fantastic. Nocturnal Butterfly has your link as well to your 1/4-inch scale replica of your guitar, which we'll talk about later on too.
Yes.
And yeah, she just texted me about that as well too, so we will talk about that here shortly. Sean Cook is asking a question of, have you tried the Vi Legacy or any model?
No, I haven't actually. I've seen it. I've never actually tried it, but I heard it's pretty good. But I've never actually played through the Legacy at all.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. No opportunity here in my neck of the woods.
But Sean, if you try it out, let us know how it is.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Let us know. Send us a message. Mississippi Treasure Hunters here saying cheers all. Jeff Humphreys from Jay's Talkers and Guitars here. Hey everyone, hope all is well. And John Mulvey, our friend here, John Mulvey's here. He says
awesome. He came by here today and brought me a guitar, and it's fantastic.
Did he bring the Performer by again?
Yeah, they brought one of the white ones by.
Okay.
And it's beautiful. It plays great. 3G guitars.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, absolutely.
I'm so glad he popped into the chat.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really a superb guitar, I gotta say.
I love the concept behind that guitar. Obviously, he was on the show a couple weeks back, and that's a question I was going to ask was about the guitar, because I knew he brought one out a couple weeks ago as well too, didn't he?
Yeah. So when he first brought it by, he brought by a couple of them, and they played so well. And what's crazy is I've been playing the Wolfgang since '99, and really haven't played much of anything else. I always use the Wolfgang, and you can tell. I'll show you later the close up of the fretboard. I don't clean my fretboard.
I've seen them.
The way they are. And so it's a smaller guitar, and then when I picked up his, it felt comfortable. I didn't feel like I was stretching or it was a challenge to play, which was really nice.
That's good to know. And the innovation with that neck pocket is is like the secret sauce in that guitar.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus it has the recessed pick guard, which is really nice. Did a lot of really good things on that guitar.
That's something I know he probably told me, but I forgot about that feature. And people might think, okay, well, recessed pick guard, whatever. But that's nice because you're not, your hand is flat against the guitar.
That's right. It's the little things that count.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you were to peel that off, it was just a solid body guitar. I mean, it would still look cool, obviously, but now you can have your pick guard with almost like a flat top.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, so they put a lot of thought into this guitar. It wasn't like, let's just take a slab of wood and throw a pick guard on it and some electronics and say it's new.
That's right.
He spent a lot of time doing a lot of cool things that haven't been done yet.
Sadly, a lot of guitar manufacturers out there are doing just that. They're just putting a pick guard on, popping in a humbucker, and it's a new guitar. Well, see, this has been done. These people are doing these things. That's why it's nice to see John innovating, because it is hard to innovate with guitar.
Yeah, it is, and it always takes the smaller guys, the smaller companies to innovate. The big giant companies, they're not going to really innovate anything because they're already getting the sales. People are already going to buy them, so why fix what's not broken?
And they get criticized if they try something new.
That's right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I guess it's a no-win situation for the big corporates.
Yeah. It's like kind of like Angus Young playing neoclassical. It just wouldn't work.
That's right. That's right. Sean said somewhere, where did I miss it? He said about the Legacy. I missed it. He actually said, where is it? He has the Legacy 3. He says so. He owns that one.
Oh.
Okay. So there you go. Let me see here. Terry saying hi to everybody, even the ones he doesn't know. Chad Boston is here. Chad Boston. I was on a live stream with him this morning. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. He went live. It was pretty funny. And he runs a fantastic Helix group. He's got just celebrated the 15,000th member of the group, and 3 years in the business. And this morning he was going live, so I saw him live. I jumped on there. Then he invited me onto the live stream, and I really wasn't even in my my Friday best, so to speak. I was a little under the weather and crazy hair and everything, so I had to make myself up pretty quick. But I jumped to the live stream. It was a lot of fun. It's nice to be on a live stream sometimes as opposed to always hosting one.
Sure.
Yeah, it can be
Absolutely.
fun. John Mulvey says, very proud to have Bill playing it. I'm sure, John, I'm sure Bill will do a phenomenal job on that guitar for you for sure.
Do my best.
And Chad says, thanks for joining the live stream. It was my pleasure for sure. And this is cool too. John says, this is a nice compliment to you. He says, thank you guys. And Bill is also an innovator. And I agree with that for sure. You do some things on guitar that, with people our age, I think I know I'm a little older than you, but people of close to our age together here, you know, it's a lot of things have been done on guitar too. You know, the tapping's been done, the neoclassical, you know, fusion stuff has been done to death, shredding's been done to death. I mean, it's hard to get your name out there as a guitar player without just being, you know, the shredder guy, right? Maybe we can go down that rabbit hole a little bit. How do you, you know, forge your way, sounding like yourself, yet still be able to? Because a lot of the style of music you do does attract the guys. It's like the guys like rock music and stuff like that, and rock guitar. But how do you create your path and still bring the audience?
Well, I mean, for us, I mean, I've always, like I said, Steve Vai, Satriani, Yngwie, Paul Gilbert, all those guys. You know, Eraser X. I grew up, you know, listening to those guys. They were the heroes, right? They were the guys that. But I never wanted to play like that. Mm-hmm. You know, Angus Young was my hero. That was my thing. I was always more attracted to the song. I wanted to hear the song, right? As Malcolm Young would always say, his rhythm is 90% of the song. That's why he wanted to be a rhythm player. So for me, it was always like, you know, I love the idea of instrumental. I don't necessarily like the idea of wanking over, you know, instrumental music for 20 minutes or whatever. I like the idea of a band. You know, I don't like the idea of a single guy and then it's all about him and then everybody else is surrounding him and that kind of thing. So I wanted to write music that was vocally based, but still instrumental. So we have melodies and we have choruses and we have bridges and solo sections. You know, the whole song isn't a solo, you know. So for me, I remember I read an interview with Bon Jovi once, and he said, if you can take a song and you can strip away everything and you just have an acoustic guitar, then you have a song. If it's something that's still listenable.
Right.
And if you can take away the melody or you can take away the vocal line and you still have a song, or you still have something to listen to, then you still have a song. And that's the way I like to look at it. It's like if you take away the melodies in our songs and the solos, you still have a rhythm that you can listen to. You know, you still have a song that you can hum a melody to. And to me, that's kind of the most important thing. And you know, that's why we don't really call ourselves instrumental. We call ourselves guitarcore, which is, you know, a term that, you know, I remember it to this day. We're going to rehearsals, so we rehearsed someplace else, and it was me and my guitar player William at the time, and I said, "Man, we got to come up with a new name for this because it's the instrumental. It's too, you know,
generic.
Kind of generic, and it's become too like homogenized. And you know, instrumental means just shredding most of the time." And jokingly, he said, "Well, let's call it guitarcore." And I was like, dude, that's brilliant. I wish I would have came up with that, but he did. Mm-hmm. And it was absolutely brilliant, and I loved it, and we've been using it ever since, you know. And so, and you know, I think it's fitting, you know. I think it's a fitting description of our music.
I like that, because thinking of the concert promoter or the club owner or whatever it may be, you know, he or she has heard instrumental to death, and the instrumental will, well, a lot of times scare them away. Oh man, next thing I want another Yngwie Malmsteen coming in here and driving my patrons out. You know, I'm not saying anything bad about Yngwie Malmsteen, but you know, clubs want people in there drinking booze and you know staying in there all night, and you know that term scares people away sometimes.
Well, yeah, and we like to put on a show on stage. You know, I mean, you know, everybody in the band is amazing musicians. I mean, I love them to death, and you know, they're all just really good on stage, and they put on a show, and it works, you know. I mean, we're not out there staring at our feet, you know, focused on the fretboard, you know. We're trying to, you know, engage with the audience as much. Me, a lot of the times I like to keep my eyes shut. Mainly, I don't want to see people flipping me off or something in the audience or scowling at me. But,
staying in your zone.
What's that?
Staying in your zone.
Yeah, staying in my zone and, you know, just kind of focused on the music and you know, but it works really well. And so, you know, guitarcore has been really, really cool.
You know, there's another thing you could always do as well, too. I know Joe Satriani does it all the time with sunglasses, and it's not being an egotistical rock star. Sometimes it's the sole fact that you can actually have your eyes open, and they can't see your eyes, you know? Yeah. So technically, they don't know if your eyes are open, and that gives you that little shield to maybe, you know, be in that zone without necessarily divulging that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how many times he's actually on stage with his eyes closed, but people think he's looking at him.
I know. I bet you it's more often than not.
It probably is, actually. You know, I'm afraid I'll fall off the stage if I wear sunglasses.
I know. That's what I'd be. I'm clumsy enough as it is. But that's the mentality. Remember, as us as kids, sometimes we'd be asked to go to the front of the class to recite a poem or something, and you'd close your eyes because you're like, okay, if I can't see them, they can't see me, right? But meanwhile, they're staring right at you with your eyes closed. It's hilarious.
That's right, absolutely.
But whatever gets you into the zone, and watching a couple of your videos today, I could tell, like with the other bandmates there, that there's not just like you don't feel. And this is the first time watching some of your videos, so I don't feel as a viewer that these guys are like, okay, let's stand here and play some power chords so Bill can, do some crazy solos. Everyone's having fun, and I can tell each of those players are good players, yet they're having fun just doing particular chord patterns.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, they're all great players, and Will, our drummer, he's the newest guy in the band, and he's a great guitar player too. So, he's from England, and he was, played with another band, a friend of ours, and our drummer moved to Seattle, and this guy was here, and we're like, yeah, man. I mean, he was fantastic, and he's a blast to be around. James, the other guitar player, he's been in the band, I think, 4 years now, and he answered a Craigslist ad, and he's been fantastic, great player, very inspiring, when I'm jamming with him or playing with him. And then Mike, he's been in the band since 2004.
Oh, so that's good.
He's been the longest running. It's funny because he has a jazz background. So I remember when he showed up for rehearsal or for the audition, and I said to my drummer at the time, I said, dude, there's no way this guy's going to stick around. There's just no way. And he's been in the band since 2014. 2004.
That is incredible.
And he's a great player. I mean, and I think it's mutual respect, and we don't just show up for rehearsal, play the set, and leave. We always, every rehearsal, we show up, we all go get dinner together. We hang out, then we come, we rehearse, and then we hang out after rehearsal.
That's nice. A little bit of a family feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're going to be in a band with somebody, you got to be. It is a family, and you're going to be on the road with them, and everybody's got to get along. And if you start letting your ego get in the way and all that stuff, it just doesn't work. I mean, I guess it works if you're, Yngve, but he has a rotating thing of band members. I don't want that.
No,
I don't want guys coming in and out.
No,
I want a band feel.
The fact that you've been together with the bass player since 2004, that's a great member. I mean, I don't want to put any more or less value on a bass player than a drummer, keyboard player, another guitar player. Sure. But the fact that the bass player is kind of, glue in a lot of environments. And, bringing in a new bass player, quite often, it's like he's got to learn your feel. He doesn't know when you're going to take off and do a lead where he may expect you to do a lead and you're not. So this guy now knows your style inside and out. And I'm sure... Being that you say you play with your eyes closed a lot, I'm sure there's no eye contact needed, and each of you know how to intertwine each other's parts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he, like I said, he's a great player, and he's the glue, like you said. Sure.
Yeah,
him and Will, they lock in really, really well together. So I think me and James, we complement each other really well.
That's good. That's good. No, that's a tremendous help. And kudos to whatever it is that's made that stick since 2004, because it is hard. We all know this. Our bandmates are our second family in most cases. In some people's cases, maybe their first family, but most of us, it's our second family. And, there's challenges in regular families keeping, loving each other and getting along and all that kind of stuff. And then your working family, a lot of bands hate their band members. They hate going to rehearsal, and a gig is the only time they're going to show up and see each other. So it's nice when you can have the cake and eat it too, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for us, I mean, me and my drummer, we do Krav Maga together. Me and James, we go photography together. We go do that. Mike, he works and has, his family and stuff. But, the great thing is, we don't have to check in with each other for rehearsal. It's like, if it's rehearsal night, you just show up and everybody else is there.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's no like, you're going to make rehearsal tonight. Where is this guy? He hasn't showed up. It's not like that at all. Everybody shows up and everybody plays their parts and everybody has fun.
That's nice, because I've been in so many situations where I've had to literally, okay, are we all still on for tonight? And on the flip side of that coin, I became the guy towards the end that would almost want to call in sick because I was not having fun anymore, and that's a sign too, is it's time to pack it in.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, and that's a shame, but you know, sometimes it's for the best, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you know,
that's
you don't
right.
want the music to suffer, and you don't want the fans to suffer, because
No.
I mean, they can see right through the bullshit. You know, as soon as you start faking it, they can tell.
That's right. That's right. And for me, when I got out of it, YouTube came right next. So it was a nice transition. I still get to be involved in music. My family's
Beautiful.
right here, so it's a no-brainer for me as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Over to the chat again for a quick second. Quentin James is saying, I was doing a Steely Dan Dirty Work video, but can't find my capo, and those hippies tune up a half a step. I love it. Good one, Quentin. Darn hipsters, right? FNF Gamer says, working on cleaning up my work area, so I'm quiet in the chat. That's why. No problem. You continue working on your area. And Quentin James says, so I gave up. I'd rather watch Eric anyway. Thank you. And Sean Cook says, the inventor of Guitar Core. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
And a lot of people liking that. Jeff Humphreys saying Guitar Core, love it as well, too.
Nice. Awesome, man.
Yeah. And let me see. Sean Cook says, Bill played an entire show and literally never opened his eyes. Is that true?
Yeah, there you go. That probably is true. Yeah, Columbus, Ohio. Yeah,
That's
hilarious. That is probably true. I think the only time I opened my eyes was when I had to talk to the audience.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, whatever works, man. Everyone has their thing. Everyone has their little cliches and kind of shticks, you know?
Yeah, and for me, it's not really that I don't want to see the audience. It's that when I close my eyes, I visualize the fretboard and where my fingers are on the fretboard. And I've been playing the Wolfgang long enough now that I kind of know where, you know, where the frets are for the most part, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I don't have to sit there and stare at it and be like, okay, well, I'm the 5th fret, now I'm on the 10th fret, you know? It just kind of, yeah. And then when I'm at home even, I practice just playing with my eyes closed. I sit on the couch, put on some Three's Company or Sanford and Son and just close my eyes and just play, you know?
Oh, I love the stuff that you watch.
Yeah, those classics, man.
Grew up on it. I mean, both shows. You know, but Sanford and Son, fantastic. You know, it's
well, we used to do the Three's Company theme live, and that was a lot of fun. We'd actually get people yelling it out in the audience, so we had a lot of fun with that.
That became kind of like a crowd favorite.
Yeah, it did. You know, it was fun to play.
That's cool. John Mulvey, I'm going to just skip a few people. I'm going to come back to them again in a second, but he has a very good question. He asked, what is a writing process like for Lonero?
Ooh, it's totally, well, for me, I used to write with drum loops, and then I would try and do the riffs along to those drum loops, and it worked, but it wasn't kind of satisfying too much. So when we were getting ready to do the new album, Defiant Machine, I had written 24 songs for the album, doing that with the drum loops, and I wasn't too happy about it. And then one day I sat down and I programmed out, the first time I'd ever done this, I programmed out the drum track, and I just did the way that I now do it is I just basically do I do MIDI drums just so I can have a reference, and for every little square I just put a drum all the way across it, and then I randomly take out the notes, just randomly take them out. Then I hit play, and a lot of times a riff will come out of that, and it'll just sound really cool. So what happened was I did that, and this song came out of it that I this riff, and I really liked it. And it became the song Defiant from the new album. And then I did it again, and the song The Machine came out of it. Out of this, you know, it's like dun, 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 dun. It was really cool sounding. And I was like, damn, I like that. So I wrote those two songs, and then I titled one Defiant, the other one was called The Machine, and I thought, well, the Defiant Machine would be a cool title for an album, you know. And then I thought, what could be a defiant machine? And I thought, well, war is a defiant machine. You know, it's no matter how many protests you have and people, you know, with bumper stickers on the car saying peace, you know, not war. There's always going to be war. There's always going to be conflict. That's just the way humans are.
That's right.
So the whole album evolved out of that, and it became a theme album where every song was based basically on a period of throughout the last 100 years of war. And so we had a concept album, an instrumental concept album, which was pretty neat. So for me, writing, I mean, you know, a riff can come from anywhere, you know, James, you know, can come up with a riff, you know, anybody can come up with a riff, Mike, anybody. But for this last album, you know, I had a lot of stuff that I had written, and then James came in, and because when I started writing the Defiant Machine, James wasn't in the band yet. Will wasn't in the band yet. And then when they came, well, James, mostly because he was here longer, he added some really cool stuff in there that, like in Burning of Ideals, the song In Pursuit is pretty much all his song. The only thing I added to it was melody and solo. And then, you know, it's kind of a you know, because once you all get together and start rehearsing this stuff to record it, you know, things start to change. You know? But for me, you know, like the song "The Hammer," I wrote sitting on my couch watching Three's Company. You know,
that's perfect.
Yeah, Three's Company is a very inspiring TV show, by the way.
It's inspiring in a lot of ways.
That's right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm going to share tomorrow. Actually, not tomorrow. My son Eric Jr. He's away for camping for the weekend, but he's an aspiring musician, a young musician, very young, but he's got a lot of talent, and he uses Fruity Loops a lot. And I could see him applying your technique. Now, obviously, with MIDI drums, you're painting across with your MIDI drums. Yeah. Same idea with Fruity Loops. I'm going to tell him your idea and paint across and just randomly take stuff out, hit play, and see where that groove takes you.
Yeah, and it's crazy how, because the grooves are so not what you would normally write. No. You know, because in your head, you've got this, you know, no matter if you think you do or not, you've got this preconceived sound in your head. But when you just randomly take out notes, you don't know what's going to happen, you know, and then you start adding in things, and then it starts building up into a song, you know, and then you can really start to see it take shape.
It's like, you know, when you know you're going to walk down the stairs, you know how to put one foot in front of the other, and you know you're going to get down the stairs safely, but you know you're forcing yourself to think differently, think outside the box. That's like a couple of these videos I've seen online. I think it was either like through Rob Scallon or some of these guys where they'll write a song. And 4 or 5 different musicians got together and they had to write a song without hearing what they're recording.
I heard that, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I've heard things like that.
Yeah, and it's like it's funny, it's almost cringy, but it goes to show you that you're a good musician if you can still have legible music come out at the other end of it, and not necessarily you're going with your mind, not with your ears.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And you just got to let it happen. You know, you just got to kind of throw out the rules and just let it take you where it's going to take you.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
On the last album we did, it's called JFL. It stands for Just Fucking Listen. It has 2 songs on there that are instrumental punk rock songs, and one is a tribute to the Ramones. That's called Fat Tat, and the other one is a tribute to Social Distortion, and that one's called Good Luck. And they had a song called Bad Luck. So I thought, I'm going to name this one Good Luck. And you know, and because I love, you know, Social Distortion. I love the Ramones. I love the attitude of them. You know, and I think that's why I like AC/DC a lot. I love Angus Young's attitude.
Sure.
You know, he's going to play what he wants to play. He doesn't care what the trends are and all that stuff. But, you know, so for every album, I like to do something somewhat different. The first album, my solo album, I did a Latin song, a classical song, a blues song, acoustic song. And then the next album, I put a Hawaiian song on there, Slack Key. You know, amidst all these, you know, hard rock metal songs.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, so I just wanted to do something different. You know, there's no rules. There's nothing that says you got to, you know, your instrumental album has to be, you know, all this shredding stuff, you know, whatever. Just do what you feel like doing. Do what you want to do. I mean, if you start making music because you think this group over here, this is what they want to hear, it's not going to go anywhere. You know, you've got to play because the people know when they listen to it that you're playing what you want to play.
Yeah, if you please yourself, and when you go to show people live, even if they're new fans, never seen you before, if they get there, they see you, they see you believing in it yourself, and of course, if it's good music on top of it, you know, you're selling it to them with your pitch, right? And they feel it, they believe it, they become a fan, they'll tell one of their friends, and then all of a sudden you've got a following. That's right. Over in the chat, got my buddy Kevin Landorf's here for one of the first times in a while. He's a police officer. He's probably off tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for what you do, Kevin. Nice to see you here for sure. And John Mulvey said he was going to ask about the hammer. And I always like to use segues to set up my next little discussion. Yeah. And with John, we talked about earlier with his innovation. Another thing, not only with guitar, you as far as the performance is innovating, you've actually invented something that when I was looking on the website, now I saw this before on the website, and always show day. I always like to read back. I like to kind of surround myself with everything that the guest does. And so I went back to your website today, and the strap tight strap lock system, probably one of the simplest concepts. However, a brilliant thing. Tell people what strap tight strap lock systems are. Where you got kind of the I don't know, the inspiration to do this, and some of the artists that are using this product?
So about 3 years ago, I think it was, I was literally standing in this exact spot, and had my number one Wolfgang on, and I let go of it, and it just hit the ground. It just, headstock hit the ground, and at the time, this was a concrete floor. Right now, it's wood, and it separated the fretboard from the neck. There was this gap that was just devastating. I literally had tears in my eyes. I was like, this is the end of my number one Wolfgang, the one I've had forever. So I got pissed, and I thought, at the time I was using, the leading strap lock where it has the washer and the little push-pull pin, and, you need pliers and screwdrivers and all this stuff. And I thought, this is ridiculous. You don't need all this stuff to secure your strap to your guitar. You just need something to put over the strap that goes around your strap pin, and you're done. So when I was a kid, I remember I used to use the plastic bread ties.
Yes.
And so I called my friend Rob Stefani, who owns a company called Hot Picks, a guitar pick company. And I said, hey, look, I said, grab a bread tie. And he goes, why? And I said, just grab it. So he goes, you're not going to believe this, but I've got like 400 of them sitting on my counter in a jar, and I don't know why I've got them here, but I've been collecting them. My daughter's like, why are you collecting these? He's like, I don't know. So he grabs it. He said, okay. And I said, now grab a guitar and a strap. And he instantly knew where I was going with it. He goes, you got to be kidding me. And I said, no, just do it. So he did it, and it went on. And he goes, dude, he goes, you thinking about you want to do this? I said, yeah. And I explained to him why. So he came over the house, and we sketched out this little design, and I gave it to my brother, and my brother was a machinist, and he made the first little plastic one. And the plastic one was all I needed as kind of proof of concept. So I texted Satriani, and I said, hey, I know you don't use strap locks. And I said, I think I know why, but I said, I've got an idea, and I'd like to bring it over to you. I'd like to, he said, okay, so can you come by my house and put them on the guitar? I said, sure. So I went over there with my friend Frank, and I get there, and Joe's got 3 guitars laid out on his table, and he said, if you could put a strap lock on these, I'm sold. And I just pulled it out of my pocket and popped it on, and he slapped his forehead, and he goes, that's the dumbest, most brilliant idea I've ever seen. He goes, why didn't I think of that? He goes, it solves the problem. And he goes, there's no noise. He goes, there's no tools required. And I even had him pull on the strap. It didn't come off. And he said, do you need an endorsee? And I said, absolutely. And so he became our first endorsee, our biggest champion. And
not a bad place to start.
Yes, absolutely a great place to start. So he got us Glenn Hughes. He texted me one day and said, hey, Glenn Hughes is going to be emailing you. I just did the album with him, and he loved them. And so Glenn Hughes emailed me I think it was an hour later, and got him on board. And we've got Greg Morrow from Plenty Heavy, who we're going on tour with. We got Bjorn England. We got Adrian Gallish, Andy Timmons. We've got my friend up in Atlanta. I mean, his band. We've got a lot of Don DeLamont. Just a lot of great players, that are using it. They're using it because it's simple. You don't need. I mean, I'll show it to you. Let me grab.
Yeah, please do. That'd be awesome.
So basically, it's that right there, that little guy right there. You see that?
Yep.
And that's it. And I mean, if you put, I'm pulling and it won't come off. And then if I want to take it off, all I got to do is just twist it, and I'm done. If I want to put it back on, I just put it back on. I'm done. We can print on these. These are the new models. The other ones were more bread tie looking, but the reason I made them like that was because I wanted them so you can have the other end to be a guitar pick.
Okay.
You could clip it up here on your tuner, and you've got, you got a spare guitar pick if you needed it. So they worked out, really, really well. And we sell a pack of 4 of them for $7.99. They're all 100% made in the U.S. Even the packaging is made in the U.S. And we weren't trying to rip anybody off or break anybody's bank. We want people to have secure guitars.
I like that.
And it took a year for us to develop the material. So once we got Joe on board, it's like, okay, now we actually got to develop the right material that would be bendable, that would be really flexible, go back to its shape, wouldn't break. So we went to the NAMM show with a prototype that was basically almost made of glass.
Oh,
almost
wow.
had glass particles in it. So we were terrified if somebody were to try and bend it, it would just shatter, because that's what they did. But we had bags of all these different material, ones made out of all different materials. And, some would work, but they wouldn't go back into shape, or they'd break, but it wasn't until we came with this 5 different materials that it actually worked. You know.
I love that. No, can you share with us, if you can't say yes or no to this, can you share with us why Joe doesn't like strap locks, the conventional strap locks?
Yeah. Yeah, so he doesn't like them because, one, the microphonic transference that you get from the, like when you put on a Schaller or a Dunlop.
I've got one right here. I've got one right
here.
There
you go.
Yeah.
That's the little bastard that broke on my guitar right there.
Okay.
That's the one. Yeah, and it wasn't the washer that came off, like mostly they always do, right? It was the actual pin inside that didn't engage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what came loose on it. So I was like, done. I'll never use those again. So what he doesn't like about him is that noise when especially if you're playing at high volume, the noise from that metal, what do you call it? The strap lock actually it gets transferred into the body of the guitar and out the pickups.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So that is the main reason he said he didn't like it, but also because, you've got to take your existing strap post off your guitar. Mm-hmm. Once you do that, you've now ruined that hole and it's been compromised and it'll never, ever be the same again. And so with ours, there's no screws, there's no screwdrivers, there's no taking your post off. And you can use it on literally just about any guitar post, any strap, and it will work right out of the box. So just pop it on and you're done. You
know what? I love this. And I see a comment in the chat from Carlo Santin. He says, cool invention. He's going to order some. I'm really, really glad we had this discussion. Like, this is going to be one takeaway I'm going to love to share with people because, okay, no, I do use Schaller. I'm not going to lie. I use the Schaller ones, and I don't buy the copy ones. I always buy Schaller. Sure. And I've been using them for many, many years. Now, I'm going to say what I like about Schaller better than some of the other ones. Now, I remember my bass player in the band, I forget what brand he had, but he had the ones where you had to physically push in the pin, and I thought these ones were better because even if the pin, you can't pull the pin out, or if the pin does come out, you've still got the horseshoe to grab it, right? That's the only advantage I like of this over the other style.
But So the problem with that horseshoe is if that horseshoe is not oriented the right way.
You have to have it so it's
which
cupping.
Is what happened.
Yes. And you have to be careful when you put that on. So here's the downfall I've had with those too. So we're definitely in the same camp here when it comes to loving your style, obviously. Mm-hmm. So I put the horseshoe on the wrong way. So I've had it like this. So if the pin lets go, it's going to fall right out. You have to have it like this. So another thing that you've mentioned, and this is 100% true, is the fact that here on my show, a lot of Van Halen discussion.
Sure.
And I'm probably one of the only guys on the planet who doesn't put the eye hooks in their guitars.
Yeah.
I just don't like doing that to my guitars. You want to talk about compromising a hole in a guitar?
Oh yeah.
1-inch eye hooks.
And Eddie can do that because Eddie gets all the guitars he wants.
That's right.
Or to make his own. The average person on the street is not. They don't get that.
I know. I can't do it to my guitars. I just can't.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and I will never. None of my guitars are modded. None of my Wolfgangs are modded whatsoever. Everything is exactly straight from the factory. I don't change my pickups out. I don't change my tuning machines out. I don't change anything. The only thing I do is I put my little stickers on the front and back of it, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a funny story about the strap lock. There was a guitar store locally here. Rob was there. It's called Guitar Showcase, and Rob was there, and we're really good friends with the owner and the staff. And one day he's sitting up in the owner's office, and one of the reps from Fender came by. And they're sitting around the owner's desk, and there's some strap tights sitting on the desk. And the guy said, "Well, what are these?" And the owner said, "Oh, you got to try these out. These are strap locks." And the guy goes, "Come on now." He goes, "This is just a piece of plastic. That's not going to hold anything." So Rob said, "Here, let me show you something." So Rob takes him downstairs, and they go into the showroom where all the guitars are, and they pop it one of the strap tights on a $3,500 Telecaster. Rob said, "Okay, go ahead and pull on it." So the guy pulls on it, and I go, "Oh, man, give it a really good yank. Just pull on it." This guy pulls on it more. He says, "Man, come on, you're pulling it like a little schoolgirl. Really pull that thing." Well, the guy pulled it, and it ripped right off. And he said, "See, I told you." He said, it won't last." Rob said, "Take a look again." The guy, he holds up the strap. On the end of the strap is the screw that ripped right out of the body, still attached to the strap, with the strap tight still attached to the post.
Now that's a testimony.
He couldn't believe it. Yeah, he couldn't believe it. He could not believe that little piece of plastic held up while the screw from the body ripped right out.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you agree with this. There's no better connection. I don't want to use the connection is not the right word. There's no better strap button than what comes with your guitar as far as the strength. Absolutely. Because even putting these Schaller ones on there, I had this conversation either last night or it was the night before. Very recently, one of my last couple of shows, I've said that when I've used the Schallers, probably over the course, let's say I've had a guitar for 10 years, And with that same particular Shaler system, which is on all my guitars, each one of those guitars is probably, I've taken toothpicks, probably I'd say on a 10-year guitar, probably about 5-6 times over the course of the years, and either epoxy resin or wood glue and putting it back in. And it always seems to go at a gig, you know, and when you can spin your strap lock at a gig, you're like, oh, this guitar is going to fall tonight. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And, you know, the thing about strap locks is it really comes down to the less components you have, the better.
Yes.
You know, if once you start adding in screws and washers and, you know, all this stuff and nuts, you've completely ruined it. You know, there's just no need for that many components to hold your strap on. It's an archaic design. It's an archaic mentality, and there's just no need for it.
That's fantastic, and I feel like I learned something. A lot of us learned something tonight too, as far as Joe, because a lot of us are fans of Joe's.
Sure.
I think he's probably my second favorite guitarist on the planet, next to obviously Eddie Van Halen. Yeah. But I've always wondered that. You see him playing these beautiful guitars. Now I thought the reason, you know, just me being an idiot, just thinking that he doesn't have strap locks because he changes guitars maybe, you know, so often, whatever. There's no need for it. The strap's not getting necessarily worn. Maybe he has it, you know, because he has his own strap. Maybe he's got so many of them that if he wears one out, he just throws it away. I had no clue. So it's nice to know.
Sure. Yeah, no, and he, like I said, he's been a big champion of it. And we have, you know, Joe Satriani printed ones that we sell on the website, straptight.com. And you know, people buy those, and it's great, you know.
Perfect. I see a question over in the chat from Swanee72 said, Bill, this is Neil. Any chance of a tour through the Midwest, specifically Wisconsin? So let's jump right into the tour talk right now. So you have a tour coming up, and you can address where you're going and maybe answer Swanee's question there as well too. Yeah,
so we're doing, it's just 3 dates. So me, Jody Rummel has a band out of Salt Lake City called Limitless, and then Greg Mara, his band Plenty Heavy. We're going to do Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, and Denver, September 14th, 15th, and 16th. And, you know, we call it the Guitar Uproar Tour, UPROAR.
Gotcha.
And I thought that's a great title for, you know, a guitar tour. You know, it's you know, but there's definitely going to be plenty of bass, plenty of drums in there. You know, but it's kind of our way to get out there. You know, it's not G3. You know, we don't have all the big sponsors behind us. We don't have the big, you know, all the big money behind us.
Of course.
It's, you know, 3 bands who love playing music, who love playing instrumental, who love playing guitar. Greg is going to be singing and saying some of his songs. And, you know, it's just, we're going out there because we love playing live, you know, because we're not going to wait for somebody else to, hey, you want to go on tour? We're making it happen ourselves, you know. So this 3-date tour is kind of like our test the water, see how it goes. If the turnout is good, then yeah, we'll do something else, and, you know, hopefully go at the Midwest. And, you know, we went on the Midwest twice. We went out there with Tony McAlpine. We were main support with him in 2014, 2015. And, you know, I love Tony. I mean, he's an incredible musician. And growing up, he was one of my idols, you know. I remember hearing him for the first time, just being blown away by him. And so to now tour with him and call him a friend. We just got back from Vegas, actually. Went to Vegas for, you know, a few days, me, him, and my drummer. And we just had a blast. And it was just a vacation just to get away. And you know, so hopefully, you know, when we went out there with Tony, you know, Columbus and all kinds of, Cincinnati and Cleveland, actually, because I remember we got on stage and we said, "Hello, Cleveland." That was I remember that. It's something I always wanted to do.
Yeah, Spinal Tap, for sure.
Yeah, we went from coast to coast twice, and you know, I want to do that again. And you know, there's talks about doing it again.
That's great. I think what I could suggest to some of your fans that may be watching tonight that would love to see in certain areas, like we have this conversation with every single guest, well, I shouldn't say every single guest, but it comes up often, where, you know, how come we won't play in Boise, Idaho? How come we can't play in Toronto, Ontario? What I suggest is call your local promoter, your local venues, and say, look, there's this band Lonero. You got to check them out. And then you keep calling and bug them and email them and say, check out this band. And if they can, you know, book you, and then they can route some other, you know, gigs along that area, that you might be able to do some of these, you know, remotes.
Yeah, and, you know, and the thing is, it's like, really, the fans have a lot of power, right? The fans make or break a band. Without a fan, you know, you're just sitting in your room, you're sitting in your garage, you're playing to yourself, you know?
That's right.
The fans are the ultimate deciding factor of your success. I mean, it's truly up to them. So, yeah, you know, we get emails, we get requests, we get, you know, comments, and and messages. We've had people in India, come play in India, come play, the Philippines, come, our guitar players in the Philippines.
Right.
You would love to play there. My drummer's from England, so we get requests from England and Brazil, and I would love to. I mean, if I could right this second, I would love to go
hop on a
pack
plane,
up the band and just go, and just play.
Yep.
I mean, anybody that I hear when they complain about touring, I'm just like, you're out of your mind, man. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love touring. I love a different city every night, a different hotel every night, a different stage every night, and you just meet so many cool people. And I think for me, that's really the coolest thing, is because you meet so many cool people at shows, and,
right.
and you find out you have so much in common with a lot of these people, So for me, that's really exciting. And of course, playing on stage. I absolutely love playing on stage, more than anything. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I used to hear people say, well, the only reason I recorded an album is so I can play on stage. And I kind of agree with that. It's like you just record new music so you can go on stage and play it.
That's right.
And to me, that is the most exciting thing, when those lights go down and, you're going to go up there and there's a whole bunch of people in that audience who's never heard of you, and you have to win them over. And that's such a cool challenge. That's
something that Eddie Van Halen always liked. That's the only thing he ever liked about going into the studios, because he knew right after it meant the road, and that's where he was in his comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was probably the one I heard that quote from,
Yeah. That's fantastic. So there's a couple points here, too. I missed one thing, because Jeff Humphreys was asking where we can get the straps, the strap locks. So John Mulvey said they're included with 3G. Now, was he referring to yours or your
yes.
strap? Okay, perfect. So they come with 3Gs.
We're going to be including them with 3G guitars, absolutely.
Fantastic. Yeah. And Nocturnal Butterfly got the link. I think she got it right, straptight.com?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. So people take a look at that.
She is on it.
She is. She's good.
She's on it.
She's good. She's vying for my job, and I can't take her job because I suck at the chat. I really do. So she's great at it. I really appreciate it. It really helps me. And Jim Dale's had a point too. He says they are fantastic. The round ones are easy to get on and off. The custom Satriani ones, like for Shockwave Supernova, are great to display. Any new ones coming for his new album or Chickenfoot? Or is that something that you can share with us?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because I literally was just over at Joe's house a week and a half ago, and I was talking about this because he loaned me one of his guitars, and so I said, hey, I need some artwork. Do you have anything you want to put on the new ones? And so he gave me the new CD. He gave me a guitar pick, and he said, well, maybe you can come up with a concept using this. So we're trying to figure out what we're going to do, but we're definitely going to do something. It's going to be new style of printing. It's not going to be ink printing. It's going to be like UV printing, so it won't rub off. It won't crack or anything like that. And the colors are really bright.
That's great. I love that. And he's always got some really cool. I mean, his sketches are just phenomenal.
Yeah, and the artwork. I mean, every album, and lately has been doing something really, really cool in terms of artwork. And I'm a big fan of the physical CD.
Oh yeah, me too.
I mean, all of our albums, I do all the artwork for it. I do all the layout for it, and I get a lot of pleasure out of that because I can lay it out the way I want it. You can, and I like to read the liner notes. I want to know who wrote what song. I want to know who produced it, where it was recorded at, and I want to read the thank yous. To me, the thank yous are a kind of they're a really cool thing because you're acknowledging people that helped you through your journey. And nowadays it's just all MP3s. There's no thank yous anymore. You don't know who produced what, who played on what.
That's right.
And to me, that's made music really disposable and kind of like, it doesn't have any weight to it anymore. And the fact that anybody can put music on iTunes now. You don't even need to. You just go through CD Baby, boom, you're done. They'll put it up on iTunes for. You don't even have. It could be anything you want it to be. And that's taking away the validity of music, what
agree.
music was supposed to be, I think.
If you think back, you were a vinyl guy at one point in your life, I would assume?
No, I never was a vinyl dude.
Okay,
yeah.
well, I'm sure you'll still relate to this because you say you like reading the liner notes today.
Oh, yeah.
So but
I have some vinyl.
Yeah. So as a kid, I remember like looking at some of the simplest vinyl liner notes. Like obviously in a lot of cases they were pretty simple in records. Sometimes you get a fold-out booklet and things like that. But
Sure.
let's say a simplistic liner note that maybe, and I'm going to really stretch here, but 1,000 words with the thank yous, who's on what, blah 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 blah. But those 1,000 words, which is not a lot, that's just like a small little article you'd read online now. You would listen to that record, and it would take you the whole time from flipping the record and everything, side A and side B, to read those notes. And by the time the record was done, you just finished. You knew who produced it. You know who the engineered it. You know, blah blah blah. And it was a cool experience.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lot of things that people today who just focus on MP3s or WAV files, they don't have that experience. You know, so a lot of times they don't even know who's who anymore. They I like this song. They listen to it, but they know the band, but that's about it.
I know. That's right. The art who's the art director?
What's that?
Who's the art director? Who's
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. The art director, the creative director, the engineers, sometimes you even find out, the gear they used, what console it was recorded on.
Exactly.
That's all really cool stuff.
Yeah. Something you can share with Joe the next time you see him. This is kind of a fun little fact. I'm becoming more of a digital guy now just because I don't consume as much music anymore as I'm getting older. Now I am kind of in a way, and I'm discovering new music thanks to my boy. He's introducing me to music that I wouldn't listen to, and I'm introducing him into music that he would never listen to, like a Kraftwerk and bands like that of all things. Like one day we're looking for some robotic things, and I said, hey, have you ever heard of that band Kraftwerk? He's like, no, and I showed him. He loves them now, right? But when I buy CDs anymore, I only buy CDs from two people. I buy Van Halen CDs. And I'll never listen to the CD. I buy them, and then a lot of times they'll come with digital download, or I'll just rip them to my iPod right away. The CD will go on the shelf, but I have it for when I want to look at it. And Joe Satriani. That's the only CDs I buy, because I was still buying CDs when these people were obviously in their heyday and still in their heyday. But I got collecting them, and I just couldn't stop, So when Joe would bring a new CD, I couldn't just say, well, I'm just going to download from iTunes. I really wanted to have that physical piece.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's where I am. I especially for me, I want to have our physical album.
Of course, who wouldn't? That's right.
Yeah, I mean that, because it's such a monumental task, to put out an album, from start to finish. It's it could take years. I mean, our last album, Define Machine, took 3 years to get it done.
Yeah.
And then once we got it done, we ended up basically scrapping the whole album after it was already produced and packaged, and we went back in the studio. We went to Prairie Sun Studios, which, as growing up as a guitar player, Prairie Sun was the holy grail of guitar player studios, right? And the only time I'd ever been there prior to that was Marty Friedman invited me to come to hang out while he was mixing his album Music for Speeding. So I went there and hung out, and I was like, oh my God, I'm at Prairie Sun Studios with Marty Friedman, and this is amazing. And then when we went to go do, the Defiant Machine with Andy Waters, who co-produced it, we were there for 4 or 5 days, and we stayed there on the property and just absorbed. And we were in there with the SSL board and with Neve, Mike Prees, and it was so much fun, man. So much fun. That
alone is creative, IV right into you.
Yeah, Prairie Sun is just one of the coolest places. It's an old chicken ranch, and Muka Rennick is the owner, and he's just one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet in your life. And I mean, if anybody out there is looking for a studio to go to that they really want to kind of absorb music history, Tom Waits recorded 2 of his biggest albums there. I mean, you got Santana record there, and Journey. I think Metallica's recorded there, and of course all the Shrapnel stuff. It is the place to go to. I mean, it really is. I mean, because they have apartments where you could stay on the property. They have a guest cottage, and they have 2 little guest rooms, and they're just really cool, man.
That's awesome. That'd be really nice to actually physically stay there, never have to leave.
Yeah.
I got a couple people here that some old fans of yours and friends as well too. So the first one is Cowlin80 says, "Holy crap, it's Bill Lonero. How sweet is that? I used to chat with dude all the time back in the day on MySpace." It says, "Great guy." And I got an autographed picture of him. And another familiar name, Mara Music, is here. Greg is here.
Ah, yes, absolutely.
He says, "Hey, Bill," in here.
Doing the shows with him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fantastic. What a great guy, too. And a monster player. He's a monster player.
Greg is great. So he came here about 2 weeks ago, and I took him out to Prairie Sun. And, he played with Bruce Brule. He's played on stage with Bob Gilbert. And it was really cool to take him there to kind of to watch him really get the excitement that I had when I went there, you know. So I was so happy to take him there and show him and introduce him to Tim and Muka. And, you know, we spent a few hours there, and it was just fantastic, man.
That's nice of you to do that. I mean, some people out there, I mean, like to hog these things all for themselves and not want to have that glory for anybody else.
Got that.
That's
cool. I never understood that. You know, it's like everything's always better when it's shared. You know,
I love that.
Unless it's your woman. But, you know, other than that, everything's pretty much better when it's shared.
That's right.
But it's he's a great player. So I'm really looking forward to going on tour with him and Jody and their bands, and it should be a lot of fun. You know?
I think you picked a good.
The cool thing is, nobody has any attitudes between all these bands. You know, nobody has any attitude. There's no ego. There's no, well, I'm going to upstage you and I'm going to do this. And, you know, it's you know, I'm going to tech for him and he's going to tech for me. He may not know that yet, but, you know, but no, we're going to, you know, I'm going to help him load his gear. Matter of fact, he's going to use my gear. He's going to use my rig.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, in fact, the drummer's going to use our drum set, our drummer's drum set. Their bass player's going to use our bass rig.
That's smart.
You know?
It's just smart thinking all around.
Yeah, because, I mean, you get more stage space, you know, you're going to get more stage time because you don't have to worry about, you know, tearing everything down. And, you know, I just wish this attitude that, you know, is so pervasive amongst musicians that, you know, I've got to keep everything to myself. And, you know, I don't want to tell you my secrets, you know. I just wish that would go away because it really, it's like if you help out them, they'll help you out, hopefully. And it's good karma, and it just helps build the music scene all around, you know.
I agree.
I've toyed about starting or trying to start a kind of a service where, let's say, a musician comes to town, they're flying into town, they need gear to borrow, right? So you loan it's kind of like a barter service, right? You loan them the gear. Well, when you play their town, they loan you their gear. You know, you go to their show when they're here. You know, of course, your gear is going to be there. You can, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, kind of everybody helping each other out. You know,
like that.
and you know, if you're playing an amplifier, you know, they're playing your amplifier, they're not going to blow your amplifier up. You know, what are you afraid of? You know, it's just, let them bring their own cymbals for the drum set, you know.
That's right. Any breakables and things like that. Yeah,
absolutely. But stuff like, you know, amplifiers and pedal board, they're not going to break it. You know, they're going to be on stage, they'll play for 45 minutes, an hour, and they're done. So, you know, I just wish that they were more willing to help each other out.
I agree. There's another question here, and after we grab this question from a viewer here, let's jump over and have a look at these beautiful Wolfgangs, because you and I, and a lot of our viewers here too, share a lot of passion for the Wolfgang.
Yeah.
And I pulled out 2 of my PVs as well here. I've got 3 of them here, but 2 of them ready to go. We'll share some of mine after yours. But Relic asked a question. He says, Bill, when you compose, do you feel like you're creating something completely from scratch, or is there ever a feeling that you're discovering some underlying reality or musical truth?
I try and create completely from scratch. Like, so when I'm writing, I don't listen to any other music. I don't, you know, I do listen to Sinatra, Elvis, and Dean Martin. Those are my 3. I always listen to those guys. You know, that's just kind of my go-to thing. But when I'm writing, I don't listen to any guitar music. I don't listen to any heavy metal. I don't listen to any hard rock or anything like that. I try, not that I want to create in a vacuum, but I want to know that whatever I'm writing, for the most part, is coming from me, and I'm not ripping it off from Metallica or Death Angel or, you know, Steve Vai or Joe. You know,
I know.
I'm trying to be as original as possible with the songs. You know?
That happened to me once, not recently, but I'm going to say probably about 8 years ago. I come up with what I thought was, I was so proud of a riff I wrote, and I was playing it for Sandra Lee here, Nocturnal Butterfly, and she says, "What were you listening to last night?" And I'm really proud, and she's a really honest person, right? She'll say that's awesome, or it sucks. It's like whatever. But she says to me, "What were you listening to last night?" And of course, that was my Joe Satriani phase, where even Joe was above the Eddie Van Halen on a pedestal for me for a while there.
Sure.
And I was listening to one of his tracks. I forget which one it was, but you play it back, and it was 100% the same riff. And and I mean, I'm talking his rhythm riffs. I can't play his leads, but I was like, oh man, I was so disappointed, you know, because Joe did it.
Yeah,
know?
So that happened to me once, actually. We were working on the album Relentless, and I remember at the time we were rehearsing at my house. We didn't have this place, and this was around 2008, I think it was. And I showed the bass. I got this riff right here, blah, blah, blah. And my drummer, Steve, goes, "Dude, that's from the movie Transformers." I went, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "No." I go, Well, that explains it. I did watch it last night. So
there you go.
I mean, it was a straight up rip off, and I'm glad he told me, because if he didn't tell me,
It'd be
I
embarrassing.
would put it out there thinking it was mine. It was such a killer riff. I don't remember who did it, but it was just a great riff.
Oh,
you know?
It wasn't
Yeah.
Linkin Park or anything, right?
Which one? Linkin Park?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I remember it was on the F sharp to G on the low E, and that's all
Okay.
I remember of the riff. But it was just a really sweet riff.
The only thing that sucks more about writing one of your own riffs is when you write one that's not yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the worst thing in the world.
Because no matter how good it is, you have to instantly throw it away.
Yeah,
it's gone.
That's right. Now, it's one thing to be inspired by somebody else and use it as a stepping stone and build off of it, which I try not to do, but it can happen, obviously. Nobody, I guess, can create in a vacuum.
I know.
Unless you're Frank Zappa, right? And then you just, you throw everything you can in there.
That's right.
But it's Vi's really good at that, at really taking something really kind of, I don't want to say stale, but stock, and turning it into something that's really unique, He's really good at that.
He is, not only with his songwriting and arrangements, but his use of effects. I mean, he takes effects as in a direction, like not just like I like people like Tom Morello and people like that can use effects as a voice.
Yeah.
But Steve Vai can. I like his use of effects better than his guitar playing, if that makes any sense.
Sure, that makes total sense. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Another statement here. We're going to jump over to some guitarists. 3G TV says he loaned Gary Hoey a 412 cab for his San Francisco show. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Love Gary Hoey.
We played many shows with Gary.
He's a good dude.
I've known Gary since, I think I've known him since 94, 93, somewhere around 94 probably. Yeah, and it's great guy, great player. He's gone more the blues route now.
And doing very
cool.
well.
He looks great on stage with the suit.
He does.
A little too hot for me. I couldn't wear a suit on stage, man.
I don't know how he does it. He's been very kind to me here on the show here, so I'm very blessed to have had him a couple times. So let's look at some guitars, man. Tell us what it is about this Wolfgang guitar that has just captivated you.
All right. So, well, one, I mean, I really like the body of it. I mean, I don't think there's a way to flip this camera, right? No, there isn't. That's all right. That's all right. Is there? No, that's. Oh, it is. Hold on.
Yeah, you might be able to flip it.
See if that. There we go. All right, there we go. Beautiful. So I can do this now. So what I like about it, one, it's purple. So at the time when I got these guitars, I was playing this guitar right here, which is this Ibanez right here.
Okay.
USA Custom, which was a really really cool guitar. But it wasn't it had a whammy bar on it, and I'm not a whammy bar guy so much. So a friend of mine, Paul, the photographer guy, he had a Wolfgang, and I was like, oh man, I said, this thing plays amazing. I love this thing. So I ended up buying one on eBay, which was this one here. And you can see that the fretboard is just absolutely, where's that? Right there. Absolutely filthy.
Oh, that is a dirty board.
Yeah, it is absolutely just filthy. And so I bought this one. It was $800, no tax, free shipping, and I was sold. So that was my main guitar. And then what happened was a friend of mine gave me these two over here, and he knew I liked purple, so he gave me these two, and I ended up, I was like, okay, I want more purple ones. So I'm on the lookout to buy, some more purple Wolfgangs. And then this one here, this is a special one because this one is actually a prototype. It only has one toggle. It has one volume knob, and then it has a toggle switch here. That's a coil tap. And then if you look at the top on it, it's just a beautiful tiger stripe. And then the back is a really, really nice bird's eye maple.
That's beautiful.
But it has no serial number on it. And this one was actually one of the ones that they would build and then send to Eddie to basically have him test it out, see if he likes it. And then he'd send it back and say, okay, make these changes. So this one had the toggle switch on it. So this one used to belong to Neil Zaza. Neil gave it to my friend Frank, who then gave it to me for a birthday gift, which was a beautiful birthday gift. So all of these three, they're all exactly the same stickers on them, And so what I did is I used to be endorsed by PV back in 2010, I think it was. And then PV, this is when David Ellefson from Megadeth was my rep over there.
Yep, mine too.
Yeah, there you go. So when he left, they kind of basically said F you to all the artists that weren't, Eddie Van Halen and all those guys, that stature. So, a few, like, so they started rebuilding these Wolfgangs, the new ones. I think they call them the HP2s or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to them. I sent them a few emails. I said, look, I used to play Wolfgang. I mean, I used to endorse, PV, or PV used to endorse me. And I would love to be involved with you guys again. I'd love to play the new Wolfgang. 3 emails, 2 phone calls. They never wrote back to me, not once. And I was like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm not going to promote you anymore. I'm not going to, be on stage sporting a PV Wolfgang. So all of my guitars are now this brand. See if you can see that. Who fucking cares?
Exactly.
That is what all the guitars now say on them. All my stage guitars, they all say who fucking cares? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, they're not doing me any favor. I'm not going to do them any favor.
Of course.
I play these guitars because I love them, not because they gave them to me. I just love playing the PV Wolfgang. I love the body shape. And in fact, I actually was offered an endorsement by Music Man, and they were going to give me, basically an endorsement with them. And I said, you know what? I said, they're really great guitars. They're all pretty much signature guitars, it seems like. They got the Steve Morrison, the Albert Lee, and the Petrucci, and all these guitars, and the Lukather. And I was like, yeah, that's cool and all. But the main reason why I did not do the endorsement is because I couldn't put the stickers on here like this. Their body shape is completely wrong for that. So I was like, well, I'm not going to screw up that. And, I like this, and I'm just going to stick with this, So that's why I ended up staying with PV, or with I should say, with Who Fucking Cares,
That's absolutely amazing. And now years, you got 3 of them there in the purple. Do you know the
Yep.
years consecutively? Are they all the same year? Are they very variable?
This one here, my main one, that one's like 1999.
Okay.
So that's one of the early ones. These 2 over here, I believe, are around 2001.
Okay.
So they're still pretty early as well. And then this one here it predates all of them.
Right.
So they're all pretty old. They're all over 15 years old.
Mine, the 3 I have are 97, 98, and 99.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
No,
yeah, that's cool. See, I don't know if mine are consecutive like that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. We see a nice kind of nice glowing red guitar that's kind of screaming some attention there too. Tell us about that one.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something real quick about the strings on this guitar.
Yeah.
And this one, and the strings on this guitar here. I have not changed these strings since 2015.
Oh my God.
They have been the same strings for all the shows, everything. I used them on the entire U.S. tour with Tony McAlpine in 2000. So I had them 2014, changed them, put them on for 2015, and they've been on there ever since. And I've not changed them since.
Wow.
I just like the feel of them. I'm not a big fan of the feel of brand new strings, and all that. But it's kind of it throws people off. They're like, "What the hell? How can I don't hit hard on the strings. I don't bang away on the fretboard. I don't pound when I'm picking it." So for me, it's just I have a light touch, so I don't break them. But
Nice.
I did break one on stage when I did not take one as a backup. So I broke one string.
Yeah, that's always good to have a backup just for that reason alone.
Exactly. Well, I never broke strings, so I'm like, well, I won't need it. And we played a show, and the first song, literally within the first 30 seconds, the string broke.
Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law.
Yeah, Murphy's Law. So this one, I think this is the one you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one is Satriani's guitar. So he loaned this to me about 2 weeks ago, and I asked him if basically we were chatting and via text, and I said, do you have any extra guitars that you want to sell? And he said, well, I can't really sell you one, but I can loan you one. And I said, I absolutely, I would love it. So he loaned me one when I was recording the album, The Defiant Machine. And what was really cool about that is I was really stuck for a melody. I could not come up with a melody to save my life for this song, Tuesdays for Killing. And there's a really cool story behind that title too, which I'll tell you, but I could not come up with a melody for this song. And so I said, hey, Joe, would it be possible if I could borrow one of your guitars? And I want to try a whammy bar on it. And he has a Sustainiac and all that. And he said, sure. He said, I'm leaving for LA tomorrow morning. Can you come by tonight? So I jetted up to San Francisco and went over to his house. He had like 4 or 5, of his guitars. There were all kinds of different colors laying out on the table. And he said, just pick one. And I was like, okay. So I picked an orange one and pretty much looked exactly like this. And took it home and immediately I came up with the melody for it. And it was just really cool, that his guitar and kind of had the mojo on it that I needed, you know.
That's beautiful.
Now, what was different about this guitar as opposed to the other one that he loaned me was the other one had a single. This is the Sustainiac on-off switch right here.
Okay.
On the original one that he loaned me, there was just this switch here that was off and then on. Now on this one, this is the on-off, or I'm sorry, off-on. And then this is a 3-position. You got a low, mid, and high Sustainiac.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So it can, I mean, when you put it in the high mode, I mean, you can just hold that note for infinity. And it just screams. I mean, it's incredible. And this is an out of phase push-pull pot, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. And, you know, that's the Sustainiac there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and, you know, he's got this whammy bar here, which is carbon fiber, which is really incredible, actually. It's feather light.
Nice.
And I think they were like $90 if you want to buy just the whammy bar, just the bar itself.
Yeah.
But it plays fantastic, this guitar. So it's, you know, it's really cool to play the guitar that you know that somebody of his stature played. And I can't do it justice, but I can at least put some notes on it and, you know, make some music come out of it, you know.
That's awesome. I like the idea with that carbon fiber board because you see him play a lot of times just with a couple fingers on the bar, you know, just kind of rocking that bar.
That's right.
And that would help a lot. It's got a little bit of extra. It would be light, but still give you some torque on it as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this thing it's a beast. I mean, it really is. And then the other orange guitar here is my Gretsch that I just bought probably a month and a half ago that I had no intention of buying. But what happened was I went to go see my friend at Guitar Showcase, and they happen to be carrying Gretches now, and I always wanted an orange Gretsch, and this just happened to be there, and I was like, shit. So I ended up buying it.
What's a beautiful guitar?
Love it. It's a really, really cool guitar. It looks really cool next to Joe's guitar, too. So.
It does. They kind of match a little bit. Plus, I get some inspiration on that guitar when you're least expecting it, too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm a big Brian Setzer fan, so I was like, a Gretsch, you know.
Very cool.
You know? And it's got the Bigsby on it, you know, and these things, you know, you can't do much with them, but they're a little bit of vibrato, you know. You know, and that's, you know, it's funny. It's a really little thing, but, you know, I always hear people call the you know, the tremolo, and it's not a tremolo, it's a vibrato bar, you know, but everybody always calls the tremolo bar. It's like, it's not a tremolo, it's a vibrato, you know, you're giving vibrato to the note. You're not tremolo.
That's
you know?
right.
You know, so yeah, it's just a little thing, but yeah, so I mean, you know, those are the main guitars that I play, that I take with me. Those 3 purple ones on the road, and this one here is like a backup guitar.
Yeah. As I was sharing with you, I sold one of my purple Peavy's USAs, and I miss it to death. It was a Floyd Rose one, and I miss it so bad. And I know the guy I sold it to. I think I would even offer him more money to get it back. And I think one day he may part with it if I could find him help another one, because he only really bought it to match a Purple Music Man that he had. And so I mean, it was just more of a cosmetic thing. So I'm going to try to get it back from him one day.
Yeah, that would be cool. You know, and you know what I just discovered recently that McAlpine turned me on to were these wireless units by Shure, which I think are just they're built like tanks. You know, and what's really cool about them is when I want to switch from one guitar to the other, all I have to do is shut off this one, turn on that one, it automatically finds the signal. Oh, neat. There's no downtime whatsoever. This little part right here, the little transceiver or transmitter, it has a tuner built into it. And what's really cool about it is if there is another wireless that's on the same channel, it will search for channels and you'll never lose the signal.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's really, really a beast of a wireless.
Absolutely
and
fantastic.
Here's the other cool thing. It's all USB. So the batteries are all rechargeable battery sticks. And all I have to do is plug it in for 15 minutes and I get a 3-hour charge time out of it. So with a USB cable.
That's fantastic.
On the road, plug it into a computer or whatever, charge it up for 15 minutes. I've got 3 hours charge time, and a full charge will give me 16 hours.
So you definitely have lots of longevity out of it. It's just like charging your phone. We get to the hotel, plug in your wireless, and charge it up.
That's right. Absolutely. You know. So it's really, really cool.
A couple other points over in the chat here before we wrap up, and I want to ask you about your mini guitar as well too. Now, Nocturnal did post a link to purchase the little guitar.
Awesome.
But a couple questions, Scott. A couple questions and points. Scott says he did the same thing with the strings. He had one guitar with him and broke a string the first song.
Yeah.
And let me see here. Pierce Thomas says, Eric, I've been meaning to ask, do you know a good place that ships old school Metallica, Megadeth stickers and art for guitars? I don't honestly. I don't know a lot about stickers where you can get them. So I just try to Google, see what you can find. Sorry, I can't be more helpful to you, Pierce, especially with your first time coming back to the show in so long. I wish I could help you more. As Sean Cook says, I remember those electronics. Mine was Cherry Red going through an H&K. And let me see. Where else did I miss? Okay, so there we have it. Nocturnal posted the link, BillLonero.com/the store. She's got your store link there. Tell us about this mini guitar and how that came about.
Well, so I mean, so I've always I just love the look of the Wolfgang guitar and all that, and just the style of it and the stickers on it, no regrets, no excuses, and all that stuff. So there's a company, I remember seeing John Petrucci had these little 10-inch ones.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking that's really cool. So we wanted to we did a Kickstarter thing, I think it was a few years back now, and one of our fans, Kathy, she suggested, well, you should get, these little mini guitars made for the Kickstarter thing. And I'm like, oh, that'd be great. And I contacted the company, and they weren't doing any custom ones for a while. And I was like, damn it. So that didn't work out. So then they contacted me it was a month ago, whatever, said, hey, we're doing them again if you're interested. And I said, yeah. So I ended up ordering just 30 of them right off the bat, and sold pretty much all of them already. So now I got to order another batch of them. And the domain to order them is pbwolfgang.com.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's the domain. If anybody wants to buy one, just go to pbwolfgang.com. And they are exact replicas down to even the little who fucking cares sticker on the headstock.
Nice.
So they should be here in about 4 to 5 weeks now. We should be getting them. And they come with a little guitar case and a little guitar stand.
Oh, that's badass. I love it. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I told the guy, too, you got to make sure that the dirt is on the fretboard. You have to make sure that. And he says, okay, we'll do that. So we'll see how true to, because they do all of Eddie's,
I know.
All the, what do you call it? They do Joe's, they do Steve Vai's, George Lynch, Cheap Trick, all these artists,
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And Jim Dale says, as the last question here, he says, would love to see Satriani and Eddie do a share a stage at the G3. I know Joe's asking me, he says, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's something I've thought about many times. Like, God, Eddie's like the last holdout of, that kind of a thing of G3. They've had Zakk Wylde and Petrucci and Kenny Wayne Shepherd and all these guys, where's Eddie Van Halen?
I know.
I mean, Zakk has gotten up there to jam with them, I believe. I'm pretty sure he has. But, where's Eddie Van Halen? Let's see the Eddie Van Halen G3,
I think the only way you're going to see that happen, Eddie's just not comfortable outside of that Van Halen thing.
Band. And
it has to be Alex. Alex will have to be with them. And
of course.
And I think that'd be the only way it would happen. But he seems in his happy place when he's with Van Halen. So who knows? I would love to see it, too. And I know Joe would love that.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, Eddie's influenced so many people, like we said at the start of this, whether they know it or not, he's influenced them,
That's right.
And there's so many guitar players. My problem with a lot of the guitar playing today, and it's mostly the instrumental guitar playing, is you get these kids who can shred all day long, and they can play anything that Eddie Van Halen played at the prime, and they're only 8 years old, They can't write a song to save their lives. They can't play with other people to save their lives. They can't bend a string. They live in this little bubble of YouTube videos and shredding. And it's like, where's the song? Where's the originality? You can play Yngwie note for note. You can play Joe note for note. Well, let's hear you write a song now. Let's hear you put all that stuff that you learned into a song of your own. And I think that's where the growth comes from. The growth as a musician doesn't come from copying somebody else's notes. It comes from making your own music. I remember an interview with, I think it was Muzz Skillings from Living Colour. And when he was learning to play, he had learned something that was really difficult. And he went to his brother and he said, oh, look what I played. And his brother sat and he watched him. He said, well, that's great. Now, can you write something like that? And he said his bubble was completely burst, but he realized he's completely right.
That's right.
And as a musician, you should want to create. You should want to create. If you don't create, if all you're doing is copying what other people have already done, then you're no different than a paint-by-number painter, right?
Very well said.
It's like, I don't get what satisfaction there is in that. Me, I never learn any. I rarely ever learn anybody else's. I've never learned an Angus Young solo note for note. I don't really know any of his riffs. You know, Hell's Bells, that's about it.
Sure, of course.
But I don't sit, you know, I mean, and learn other people. Now, some people enjoy doing that a lot, and that's great. I mean, I don't have the patience for it, I think, is what it is. I just rather, if I'm going to spend that time to do it, I want to spend that time and write a song for the band.
I
agree. Write something that we can all play together and that I know it's ours, you know.
That's right. No, that's very well said.
And I see you got mini guitars back there.
Yeah, I've got those are the official Eddie Van Halen ones.
Yeah,
yep. Those, yeah, I've got the Bumblebee, the white, black and white one, and obviously Frankie. And
nice.
We're told there may be some more. Adam Reaver works very closely with those as well, with Eddie personally on those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. And speaking of guitars, before we wrap up, you know, I just want to show this for only to show you. Well, actually, the fans have seen these guitars a lot of times here on the show too. But I showed you the one which is the same look as your amber top one. Obviously, mine doesn't have the story that yours does. I'll grab that one really quick. Now, this was one that I had picked up when I wasn't even looking for a guitar. So this is a USA PV.
Beautiful.
Nice looking guitar. Beautiful top on this one. Absolutely mint shape. Got some beautiful bird's eye to it too. And I was going into the music store to grab a guitar for Junior. I was grabbing a Telecaster, and this one just happened to be on the wall. I was like, almost like a beam of light was going, oh, like right at me, like calling my name. So I picked that up. And I'll show you something else here. I know you like stickers. So this one here is a patent pending. This is a patent pending PV. And if people wondering what this is on the top, this little, that's actually my son's blanket. His mom here, Nocturnal Butterfly, she's you know, she does a lot of crafting and sewing. She made him this blanket, and he's outgrown this blanket, like, you know how Linus from like Peanuts would walk around with that blanket. Well, it's falling, literally disintegrating. So I took a piece of it and I just tied it around my guitar as a nice little security blanket for me too.
Nice.
But this one, I had my band stickers all over it.
So, look at that.
Yeah, and I chromed out the pickup ring. So as you know with Wolfgangs, the Wolfgangs are not floating pickups. Yeah. So these are just dummy pickup rings. The guitar, the pickups are still bolted in, and they're flip-flopped. I actually flipped. People say, what'd you do?
Oh, wow.
And I did it by accident, and I put them in, and I was like, you know what, I'm tired, and I left it. So the neck pickup is reversed. So I used to have glow-in-the-dark logo or letters from my band, Finding Core. It looked really cool, and the drums matched, too. And I quit the band for about 2 years, whatever, and so mad at the band. I tore off all the things, and I thought, I got tired. And after taking off the FC, which took me 3 days, I didn't have the strength to take off the rest of the stickers. I just left them, and I think they look pretty cool. You know?
That's awesome. Yeah, very cool. It was very similar to mine. With the, you know, coming around the top and the bottom.
And there's the patent pending right there.
Oh, yeah.
Oops, I just knocked off the blanket.
Well, let me see something. Hold on a second. Let me see. That one says patent pending.
Yep.
That one says patent pending.
Oh, that's great.
And that one does not.
So those are older than what you think then.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's beautiful.
So I would check and find out. But you're probably looking at a 97 on those first two, the purples.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's nice.
Even better. 21 years old. Wow.
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, I mean, I do love them. I mean, they're great guitars, and
they are. They are.
Yeah, I'm not too happy with the original company right now, but that's okay. I got my own thing going. So
I was with them same time as you were, probably the same era, and that's how I got the JSX and things like that. And I actually got a 8x10 that's on the wall. It's from Joe Satriani. It says, "Hey Eric, I'm glad you like my amp." He was using the amp at that time, right? Yeah.
Very cool.
And I miss that. But this guitar, it's actually fallen. I remember in the studio, I had it against the wall, and it fell from from against the wall and fell on its face on the cement. And it dented the frets in a few spots, and I've never touched the frets. It would need, and technically the average guitar player would say it needs a fret job. It plays like $1 million to me, like $2 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you don't need it. Yeah, just do it. If it works for you, that's all you need.
That's right. I like it.
You know, and for me too, like I don't mind if my guitars get dinged up. I don't mind if they get scratches on them and nicks in them and all that stuff. I mean, I used to be really particular about it, but now I'm like, you know what? It just adds character to it. It's a story that happened.
That's right. That's right. And it's best if you're gonna get a ding in a guitar, you might as well do it right away. That guitar, literally that guitar. I was playing in a Van Halen tribute, and the very first gig I played, the singer was wearing sunglasses, and he was like a Sammy-looking guy. Maybe that's the reason why it happened. And he swung his mic stand around, and the round bass hit my guitar, and I actually saw a piece of wood fly off the guitar. And I was like, And he's like, oh, I think my guitar player is going to kill me. And, we just went along with the act in the show.
Yeah.
And once you realize there's nothing you can do about it, you can't cry over spilt milk, right? You just get over it.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Nowadays, we sit there and we try to relic our guitars like Eddie Van Halen's and painstakingly take razor blades and
I know.
to do it.
I know. It's crazy, man. Just play them, go play shows, get them dinged up, and you'll have your own relic.
That's right. That's right. Adam Reaver's birthday today as well, too. Talking about my brother from another brass block mother. So, Adam, if you're catching this video back later on, he's at NAMM right now in Nashville.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, buddy. And listen, we're a little over time here, and I don't want to be one of these guys that likes to say, I'll tell you my secret. I always want people to come back for more. I could talk for 3 hours. I know you could as well, too.
Here.
I always want to have people wanting to come back for more. I had a bunch of questions we didn't even get to tonight, but I'm going to save them for your return. So after you get these shows under your belt, come on back, tell us how they went, and maybe we'll hear some more additional dates that you've picked up along the way. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people are interested in coming to the shows, it's guitaruproar.com. That's the website.
Perfect.
I'm all about buying domain names that that I need. So the defiantmachine.com, that'll take you to our album. pbwolfgang.com will take you to the mini guitar. Lonero.net will take you to our website.
Awesome.
So,
lots of ways to find you. And as I shared with you through Facebook today, I won't say what the domain name is, but I'm happy to have one coming back to me.
That's awesome.
July 2nd, I will have possession of it back again,
awesome.
Which was stolen from me.
Yeah, that's very cool. You deserve that.
I'm anxious to have it back. So that'll be back.
That's right.
Listen, thank you so very, very much. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I want to thank everyone over in the chat for participating and you bringing some of your fans over here, which is great. Sunday, I'm back over on the other show on Helix Hour, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've got Leo from Frog Leap Studios. He's doing some crazy stuff on his YouTube channel. He actually just released a cover today or yesterday of SpongeBob SquarePants, of all things. And that Toto Africa video has got something like 22 million views on that one.
Jesus.
He's killing it. And so we're going to be talking about Helix and the Variax guitar over there on that show. So that should be a lot of fun.
Cool. Very cool.
Everyone, you rock. Bill, thank you so very much. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to say goodbye to you off the air.
All right.
I had a real pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. See you next time, guys. See you again on Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Till then, have a great weekend. Happy Canada Day to all our fellow Canadian friends over here as well, too. Till next time.
Happy 4th of July to everybody on Wednesday.
That's right. Coming up. Fantastic.
For us, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Love it. All right. Stay tuned. We'll be back. Cheers, everybody. Bye. I am now on Patreon. If you enjoy my content and wish to support my channel and what I do, then please check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/EVHGearTV. Your support assures the continued growth of this channel and a fun community in which to share our love for Van Halen, music gear, and much more.
My name is Eric and I'm playing Wolfgang guitar.
Video production services provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for EVH and Gear TV are provided by Rode Microphones, and official Van Halen merchandise is provided by VanHalenStore.com.